Well, let's start with the risks. When we look at Trump's policies, they're full of contradictions and paradoxes. For example, he wants to cut government spending, but also wants to stimulate growth. Those things don't work in that way. Immigration is a problem for him, but we already have a tight labor market. This would tighten it even further. It's great because it means more wage growth, but it could also mean inflation. So when we look at his policies, we really have to look through the bluster and the noise and try to understand what he really wants to accomplish. And the only way to do that is to look country by country what he wants to achieve. At the end of the day, he's using these things as negotiating tactics, not so much as the reality of his policies. Another big risk we think the market misses is just how quickly he could act this time around. He's much more organized, and he's really kind of surrounded himself by like-minded people. When we think about inflation, we really have been contextualizing it as unstable inflation, and this has really helped us understand how to position our portfolio when it comes to both duration and the yield curve. We think that the market is missing just how sticky aspects of inflation are, and the fact that we might not ever get to the Fed's real target. There's actually even a little bit of a risk that inflation could start to reaccelerate from here, maybe from 2.5% to 3%, and that could really spook the market. But there are positives. US growth is good. In fact, we've just upgraded our expectations towards more trend or even above trend growth. You look at the consumer, they're working and they're spending. You look at companies, well, the fundamentals are really solid. Earnings expectations for 2025 are really robust. And often the losses that you get from downgrades and defaults in this part of the cycle, well, they're much lower this time around. Those things all set to extend the credit cycle. And so our view is, you should let fixed income do what it does best. Clip that coupon and compound it and just keep on rolling. We think fair value on the 10-year is about 4.5%, not too far off where it is today. You asked, are yields going up because of inflation or because of growth? And actually, we would argue both. Better growth means the real part of the 10-year equation is going up. But of course, with the potential for more inflation, the break-even part goes up also. The single biggest change in our portfolios last year was in August when we reduced duration dramatically. You remember in the middle of the month there was a huge move in yields, and we actually reduced our duration by a full year and a half. That's a pretty exceptional move for a fixed income portfolio. When we think about duration, really, as a benchmark agnostic manager, we think about it in terms of risk to reward, and we analyze all aspects of the yield curve and try to identify that part of the yield curve that offers the best reward to risk. In reducing duration by a year and a half and taking it a year and a half below our benchmark, we actually took the long end of the curve out of the equation completely. We sold all of our 20 and 30-year parts of the curve, and we've overweighted significantly the 5-year part of the curve. Trump's policies and potential inflation, well, we want to be able to preserve capital if yields do move up. But if we do see yields soften up a little bit, in the 5-year part of the curve, at least we'll capture some of that benefit. We think the investment grade part of the credit market is the most attractive today, and we're really focused on the BBB space. At the end of last year, we actually added to this part of the market, buying issuers in communications, aerospace and defense, pharma, and fintech. But another goal of ours is to diversify those sources of income. Increasingly, you'll see more securitized in the portfolio. We like emerging markets, that's dollar-pay corporates and sovereigns, as well as some local currency paper. And really what we see in a moment like now, where valuations aren't obvious, is building up some reserves. We want to be able to act if markets should get nervous. Because when the economic backdrop is okay, corporate fundamentals are fine, we think that any movement wider in spreads would be a buying opportunity.
投资一定有风险，基金投资有赚有赔，申购前应详阅公开说明书。